do it? Okay, whatever. Welcome to Speak for Yourself, delivered by Pizza Hut. A little inside joke there that could have been an outside joke, but Acho doesn't want it. Order today at pizzahut.com. I'm Marcel Wiley, keeping it tucked in, protecting the guilty. That's Emmanuel Acho wearing that suit again.
I just want to keep my job, Marcellus Wiley.
We all do, but sometimes, pop
But I'm
it off.
glad you allowed me to speak on this show, my dog. I'm glad you give me that voice and that opportunity. It's a pleasure to work with you.
It has been fun. It ain't gonna last long. I'm a co-host killer. All right, let's get started right here in L.A. Because you're gonna leave me. Where Russell Westbrook had his introductory presser with the Lakers yesterday. Boy, we are petty. L.A. is Westbrook's fourth team in the last 4 years, despite winning league MVP in 2017. Remember that, Acho? Brody was asked what, if anything, he had left to prove. Take a listen to his answer. Interesting.
No. I don't. I've been blessed and thankful to be able to be in this league so long and lucky to be able to play and be healthy. I've been able to bless the people around me, my family, been able to impact people all across the world with this platform that's been given to me, and I'm continue to do that. And obviously we want to win a championship, but our ultimate goal is to make sure we use what we have to impact others around you.
So, Acho, you agree with Russell Westbrook, who I was just hanging out in Vegas with this weekend. You can't spell the West without Westbrook. You agree with that he has nothing left to prove?
You can't spell Westbrook without West, but you can definitely spell West without Westbrook.
Oh, that's what I said?
Yeah. No,
I'm so hyped
you're wrong.
right now. I'm hyped. Hair color, what color is that?
No, I don't agree with Westbrook, big dog. Russell Westbrook, I don't even think truly agrees with Russell Westbrook.
Don't do that.
So,
start over.
He doesn't have anything individually left to prove, but Russell Westbrook has to, at bare minimum, prove that it's not his fault. Westbrook has to prove that it's not his fault. So then the question is, what is it?
Uh-oh.
The fact that he ain't won a chip. So, in 10 collective years, 1 decade, Westbrook would have played with the two best players of the generation, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Westbrook would have played with the greatest scorer, statistically, many argue, of the generation, in James Harden. So you telling me you got 8 years with KD, you had a year with Harden, and you have a year with LeBron this upcoming year. At minimum, you have a year with LeBron. If you don't win a chip, then it is your fault. And the it being the fact that you ain't won a chip, because KD didn't win with Russ, but he left and he won. Okay. LeBron, we've seen him win with a plethora of different teams and different organizations and different players. James Harden is still yet to win, obviously. But Russ, big dog, you know you got something to prove. And you ain't got nothing to prove to me. Who am I? I'm just up here getting paid to talk.
So who you talking for?
But at a minimum, he has something to prove to himself. Because, only you have to live with you. I think you said wherever you go, that's where you are.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Everywhere you go, everywhere Russ goes, when he lays his head at night and he realizes, man, I ain't got a chip yet. Sure, he can question, if it's this fault, is it that person's fault, coach's fault, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I think Russ has to wonder, man, is it on me to some degree? And that is what he has to prove. He ain't got to prove none to me, ain't got to prove none to you, ain't got to prove none to the fans. Might have to prove something to his teammates, might have to prove something to his coaches, might have to prove something to management, but for sure, he has to prove it to himself. That at the end of the day, how could I play with KD for 8 years and not have a chip? I played with Harden and KD, albeit we were young in our careers and we didn't get a chip. I played with Harden and I ain't get a chip. I played with PG for 2 years. I ain't get close to a chip. Now I'm playing with LeBron. If I don't get a chip, who else do I have to blame? Who else do I have as causation? There is no one else. After a while, after process of elimination comes and goes, and everything else will be eliminated as factors for not having an NBA title, if Russ does not get one, he will be the only factor left.
Okay, I agree with Russell Westbrook. He has nothing to prove. First, I'm going to trust the man and take the man for his word. I'm not going to come out with a take that basically is going to be summed up as Russell Westbrook's line.
You do that all the time.
I don't.
You did that with KD.
No, I
Yes, you did.
What I say?
When KD said that Giannis, what KD say?
On the spot. On the spot. You can't spell the West without Westbrook. You stuck.
Keep going and I'm coming back.
I will keep going. I know damn well what you're trying to do to me. It's not going to work. I love the fact that you said that Russell Westbrook has to prove this to himself.
Yes, sir.
Because people will love to move the goalposts for you if you allow them. And those people are the same people who can't accomplish what you accomplished, but they'll move the goalposts for you. Be careful of that audience. We kind of talked about this last week in the pyramid of success.
Yes, sir.
That your audience is really an audience of failure. Most people in this world have failed in terms of ambitions and goals. I'm just telling you the facts. Now, Russell Westbrook is in the 0.1% of people that have ever walked this planet. But then he will allow, if he's not telling the truth, which I believe he is, but he would allow those 99.99% of the people that are walking the planet that have failed in comparison to him to move the goalposts for him. I won't allow that to happen. And it sounds like he won't allow that to happen. Because in the creation of goals, people are saying process elimination like you did. Russell Westbrook, the only thing you haven't accomplished is winning a championship. And he's like, y'all trying to eliminate something, but who created this goal system? Who created this paradigm for me? Oh, you did? Let me tell you what mine looks like. Mine looks like Luzinger High School in Lawndale. Mine looks like a kid from the inner city who went to college. Mine looks like a guy who went to the pros. Mine looks like a guy who's not only been in the pros, but is an MVP in the pros, 2-time scoring champ, led the league in games played 5 times in his career, so I'm durable. Mine looks like my career earnings are $244 million. I'm due $44 million this year. Mine looks like I'm a Jordan Brand athlete and just renewed for another 10 years. Mine looks like I own 10 car dealerships around LA and I'm back home so I can kick my feet up. But the 99.99% of this planet is going to sit there and say, where's your championship? Let me tell people that once you retire from football, you ain't going to ever get a mortgage based on championships. You're going to get it based on your money, based on your success, and based on who you became in that game. Russell Westbrook is playing the game the proper way. I end with this because we're going to have layers on this. I know it. What does your father do for a living, sir?
Psychologist and a pastor.
Psychologist and pastor.
Sir.
I saw some teasers on the internet from you. It sounds like uncomfortable conversations with Wiley Acho.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk about what now?
Mental health.
Oh, mental health.
Yes, sir.
So in terms of mental health and that transition, isn't it mentally healthy for Russell Westbrook to sit there and say, of all the things I accomplished, maybe I should feel some sense of accomplishment versus the one thing that you want him to continue to chase that is not even based on just him. He's been Mr. Triple-Double. He's been an MVP. That hasn't added up to championship. But now you're going to sum up his career as championship or bust? Oh, your father will be ashamed. I ain't right. I hate you. Your daddy mad at you, son. I hate you.
Go. Here's the thing, Sel.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
What you like to do is this. You cannot compare Russell Westbrook, who is the most elite of elite of elite in life, to those that have not reached any of their or maximized their ambitions.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing.
All right, that's not.
What I want to do with you, Sel, is let's compare like people.
Okay.
You know, when you're on a football field, America, when you're working out off-season workouts, summer workouts, you work out with like positions, right? Linebackers work out with running backs. Defensive linemen work out with offensive linemen, maybe tight ends if they're defensive ends. You work out with people that are like you physically because it's the only way to actually get a good comp. I'm not going to compare Russell Westbrook to the person who is working at the car dealership, etc.
Okay.
I'm going to compare Russell Westbrook to the elite athletes. I'm going to compare Russell Westbrook, an MVP, to other MVPs. And when I look at other MVPs, whether it's Giannis, who just got himself a chip, whether it's KD, who has a couple chips, Steph Curry got a couple chips, LeBron James got a couple chips, he has fallen short to other MVPs. But he's already in the elite of elite category. So, yes, Russell Westbrook compared to myself financially at this point in life and compared to the rest of the world is one. But we comparing like people.
I get it.
And when you compare Russ, the MVP, to other MVPs, then he got something to prove, big dog, because he's too good.
Why?
He's too great to have not won a chip. Like, you're that good. And you ain't won a chip. And you played with players that are that good. Imagine playing with Jordan and having not won a chip. Imagine playing with Jordan for 8 years. Because we've created KD to be one of the best players to ever touch a basketball in life. So if KD is in the breath of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, if Kevin Durant is as good as we've made him out to be, and Russell Westbrook, you played with Kevin Durant, then either you were a detraction or KD ain't that good. But we know KD is that good, at least you believe so, and I believe talent-wise he is that good. So now, if you couldn't win with 8 years of KD, that says a little bit something about you. I'll put it like this, now I'm done.
I like it. No, don't be done.
I'll put it like, I'm done with this lap.
Oh, okay. Sure.
We know that Usain Bolt is the fastest man to have ever lived.
Yeah.
At least based on time.
Yeah.
And every time, 2008, 2012, 2016, Usain Bolt ran a 4x100 meter, Marcellus Wiley, what happened?
Win.
They won. So if all of a sudden Usain Bolt runs a 4x100 meter race and his team of Jamaica loses, I'm not looking at Usain Bolt. Because every time he done ran, he done won. Who else is on the team? That's the parallel I draw with Russell Westbrook. Okay. We know Kevin Durant is that good. Dude just won a gold medal. Okay. Dude has an MVP. Dude has 2 finals MVPs. Dude has 2 NBA titles. So if Kevin Durant has run relay races with Steph Curry and won gold, he run relay races with Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker at the Olympic medals and won gold. But he ran a relay race with you, Russ, and barely won silver once. Then I start to wonder, is it you?
Oh, you would? Okay. I hope he doesn't have any sleepless nights listening to you. I hope Dan Marino doesn't have any sleepless nights listening to you. I hope Charles Barkley and other greats who just don't win it all, don't have sleepless nights based on that criteria. Man, in climbing the rungs to success in athletics, if you don't hit the top rung, which to me is not even the top rung, but I'll listen to the audience and tell me that it's a championship. Because I know too many champions that, dog, I don't know, climb them. Like, you trying to walk around and tell me some dude that was just on the Patriots that contributed is better in his career than me? You kidding me? You think I believe that? I'll let him tell the world that because he's talking to people that won't understand what this is about. But Russell Westbrook does. Russell Westbrook is an MVP. So for 1 year, at least he can say, I'm the best player on the planet.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't that tell you that being the best is not good enough? And that's something that you got to have some solace with if you understand who Russell Westbrook is. Because he started off not being the best. First year at UCLA, didn't really start that much. 1 game, matter of fact. Next year, started a bunch of games. After that, he's in the league. And then Russell Westbrook climbed. Like, if you would have said at that draft moment, is Russell Westbrook going to ever be an MVP in this league based on the draft? Most people say, no. MVP? No. But not only is he an MVP, only player in NBA history to average a triple-double 3 consecutive seasons. Acho. To me, that sounds like a guy who's like, I've done it all, and all is not enough. So therefore, your definition of what all is not absolute. It's not just I won a championship. Anthony Davis has won a championship. Kudos to him. Chris Middleton just won a championship. Who would you rather be, Chris Middleton or Russell Westbrook?
But that's the wrong question. You're asking the wrong question.
Why is that the wrong
question? The question is, who would help more for a title?
Who what?
Who would help a title more? That's the real question. Well, I'd rather be Russell than
At the top of your pyramid, in the top of your pyramid, first of all, we both have failed then as you draw.
Of course, as a football player, I did. I don't think you did.
I'm about to say, you better keep that on that side. I ain't feeling jack. But here's the thing. Why would you let them design it where if you didn't win a ring, you didn't do a thing? Like, how do you set that up as a mindset?
Okay, good.
How much time do we have? Russell Westbrook, he ain't buying that.
We're going here. So the difference between a linebacker, a defensive lineman, they can only change the trajectory of a game so much. Call it 5%. If a linebacker plays the best game of his career, he will impact the game maximally 15%.
Yes.
Defensive end, maximally, I'll call it 35%. Y'all can get sacks, forced fumbles,
et cetera. 4 sacks and lose.
Exactly. A quarterback, if he plays the best game of his career, he can impact the game probably 85%.
85?
You can play out of your mind and still lose, but the quarterback, along with the center, are the only players that touch the ball every single time. Just look statistically, America. Look statistically,
I'm listening.
2000 to 2020, there are 20 NBA MVP awards given out. 17 of those players, or 17 times, the players that won MVP won titles. From Tim Duncan, and I ain't even got the list pulled up. From Duncan to KG, to Dirk Nowitzki, to Kobe Bryant, to LeBron James, to Steph Curry, to Kevin Durant, to Giannis Antetokounmpo. The ones who didn't, I'm not counting the Joker because he just won MVP most recently. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Steve Nash, and Derrick Rose. And Derrick Rose, we know about his injuries. So, Sal, you telling me 80% of NBA MVPs have won titles. 85% if we discount Derrick Rose because we know about his injuries. 80 to 80. Keep him in there. Keep him in there. I'll stay with my 80%.
You saw my next point.
Keep him in there.
Yeah,
I'll stay with my 80%.
Yeah, you better stay with your 80.
80% of the people that got MVPs by their name in the last 2 decades have titles, Sal. Eventually, you got to look in the mirror and say, wait a second. Y'all were the best player in the world, and all y'all got titles. I was the best player in the world. Why ain't I got one?
But here's the problem. You just gave me one qualifier. You tried to take it back, but I'll give you some more. This ain't prime LeBron. This is hurt AD. And now we're going to sit there and put it on Russell Westbrook. So in this, look, if you play with Jordan your first 5 years or his last 3 years, good luck. How that look for you? Oh, you with Jordan, which is, dog, he ain't ready, we ain't ready. So there's sometimes timing is everything. We know that. So with Russell Westbrook, he's trying to understand this. I'm coming to ball. I'm coming to do it all. I'm coming to do the dirty work. I'm coming to play and make LeBron's life easier. But how dare y'all, in a conversation of sports, which is a means to an end, try to make a sports conversation a life philosophical conversation and make me feel like I got something to prove.
Oh, we're not talking about life, Sal.
Okay,
I'm not talking about life.
I'm not talking about life. We're not talking life? Well, we ain't even talking basketball. Name how many dudes are MVPs. First of all, let's just start eliminating the room. If you ain't an MVP, get out this room. All right, good. You know what? You ain't won. You know 430 dudes is just left, and it's just you got enough for a table. Just you and like 20 dudes. And you trying to say that he still has something to prove? Then he's like, how many of y'all led the league in triple doubles?
Sal, the reason
1, 2, 3 times.
The reason is this.
What does he have to prove?
You have been much more frequently than I to exclusive clubs. Clubs that regular people can't just get into.
Where'd that come from? Oh.
Right? Like, you've been to clubs where you walk in and I'm saying, not now, I'm saying, and everybody's a name. You feel me? You got an A-lister, you got another A-lister, you got.
They were in Vegas this week.
Even within those exclusive clubs, where everybody is somebody.
Everybody.
It's still levels. And so, Russell Westbrook, he's in the club. He's in the club that I can't get into. I am humble enough to admit that.
Yeah, me too.
But within the club, now that they've let us into the club and they said, okay, Acho, Marcellus, you go into the club with your clipboard, take your notes, and just make your notations. I'm saying within that club, there are levels.
Okay.
Russ is not sitting at the high table just yet. Russ is still standing at the bar with the drink. LeBron is sitting at the high table. Kevin Durant is sitting at a table. Steph Curry is sitting in between Kevin Durant and LeBron James. But Russell Westbrook, he is in the club. He is one of the greatest basketball players of this generation. But he ain't got himself a chip.
Okay. Let me tell you, like my therapist told me. He said, Marcellus, you won. Remember I told you he brought me the tears? He said you won. And look, Russell Westbrook knows he's won. Now, we're going to get into some stuff.
What? He's won life.
He's won life, and he's won basketball. Hold on. If you had Russell Westbrook career, and then somebody walked up to you and say, oh, man, you got something to prove, how would you really feel? Like, if this were your son, forget you, because I know you got the ego, and you could be self-deprecating and all that. What about if this was your son? What if this was MJ? My son, MJ, was Russell Westbrook, and somebody walked up to me and said, your son got something to prove.
Of course, I would coddle him.
No, coddle him? I would correct him.
As an analyst. Does Charles Barkley not have something to prove? He would tell you.
No.
Even when he's on set with even when he's on set.
In pursuit of something and not being able to attain it doesn't mean that you have failed. Think about that.
It literally means you failed.
No, it does not.
To pursue something and not attain it is failing.
Hold on. You forget the transition. To win an MVP, if you don't win an MVP and you try to do that, who do you blame?
Yourself, right?
Yes, yourself.
Okay.
Who gets the award?
I know.
You. If you, as a team, don't win it all, do you blame yourself fully?
If you are the leader, yes.
If you're the leader?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Okay.
You have to.
So Dan Marino failed. Jim Kelly? Do you understand what Jim Kelly was up there? Fran targeted? Like, what are we doing here?
Do you not think LeBron first shows up to L.A. and he gets injured? He knows that he has been to 9 consecutive NBA finals.
But
you don't think LeBron James looks himself in the mirror like, dang, this was on me, y'all? You don't think Miami Heat, when LeBron James forms that triplet of people, him, Bosh, and whoever, and D-Wade, my bad, D-Wade, and they played the Dirk Nowitzki in them, you don't think LeBron James was like, man, I failed? Yes, if you were the leader of the team, Sal, that's on you. You and I just have a philosophical difference.
That's all it is.
Our philosophical difference, you judge a man by the distance traveled.
Well, one that, but being real, if I don't have full control, I ain't taking the blame like that. It's just simple. Like being a team player. Dog, you could be in the game and not mess up at all. Phillip Rivers lost to the Buffalo Bills, didn't commit one turnover, 472 yards, and they lost. And do you think Phillip Rivers got to go back and say, well, that was a championship opportunity. Another time, championship opportunity, he has an ACL injury, and they play the New England Patriots in the AFC championship game. He's hurt. Like, all I'm saying is, y'all trying to tell this dude, Phillip Rivers, he got something to prove. And that's just silly to me.
He absolutely does.
Why? Because it's a team game.
Because Phillip Rivers...
Why are you judging him by a team accomplishment?
Okay, we going to get it. Because my same Phillip Rivers note is my Matthew Stafford note. So I'm good here.
Wow.
I'm going to put a pin in this one, because in this next block, I'm going to continue this conversation.
Woo. I didn't know so many people looked in the mirror with you when you looked in the mirror. Okay, I learned something. Coming up, Hard Knocks debuted last night, and the vibes at Cowboys camp were a little weird. Let's just say that. We'll tell you if our perception of Mike McCarthy has changed. But first, the Rams brought in Matthew Stafford to give the offense some more juice. We'll tell you if the pressure is on Stafford or head coach Sean McVay to make that happen. Next on Speak for Yourself. So since you won an Emmy and we ain't won an Emmy, you a failure.
The Rams have made the playoffs in 3 of Sean McVay's 4 seasons as head coach. Despite that success, the Rams brought in Matthew Stafford this offseason to take the offense to that next level. The offense saw another team's defense for the first time over the weekend when the Rams had a joint practice with the Cowboys. And McVay was not impressed. Take a listen.
And then offensively, I think we can be a lot better. I think there were some good things that we flashed, but, it's a different front. The way that we're hitting blocks and doing some different things was new. We didn't game plan it, but I still expect more from that group.
So, Sal, talk to me. Who is under more pressure this season, Sean McVay or Matthew Stafford?
Oh, it's Sean McVay, the genius in Sean McVay. People haven't done a deep dive on Sean McVay just yet. At least it hasn't pierced his reputation of being a genius. You started to see the Sharks circling Kyle Shanahan this offseason, and I think he recognized it as well. Therefore, moving up in the draft, go get Trey Lance, because he said, hey, you're not going to eat me up without me putting up a fight. Okay, Sean McVay, same thing. Now, Sean is smart because he's like, I don't even see the Sharks, but I saw what they did to Kyle, so let me go on and swap this out. Scapegoat gone. Jared Goff, get out of here. Give me a real gunslinger, Matthew Stafford. Okay, now you're protected in some respects because Matthew Stafford's never won it all. So anything Matthew Stafford does in the postseason, guess who's going to get the credit? Sean McVay. Genius move, but here's the problem. And there's why there's pressure on you. What if it doesn't work out? Why wouldn't it work out? Sean McVay's a genius, and everyone knows I swear by Sean McVay and love him. But I do my job. I had to expose some of the Kyle Shanahan issues. I even had to expose Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl issues. Well, let me expose Sean McVay and some of his offensive issues. When he got here in 2017, you know what his offense was ranked? Number one. I always tell you, Acho, be careful of the order of success. Don't start too fast because it could come back and hurt your ass. What was 2018 after he was first? Second. So, no Sharks. Go out there and swim. No choppy waters. What happened the next year? 11th. Barely outside the top 10. People not tripping. What happened last year? 22nd. Are you trying to tell me a genius as a play caller went from first to second to 11th to 22nd in offense? Yes, I am. Now, why is that exposing Sean McVay and putting pressure on him? Because he knows that the only thing that's going to change this is him banking on someone like Matthew Stafford and the offensive weapons that they've come that replenished this year to change his fate. Here's the problem. Has Matthew Stafford ever done it all? Has Matthew Stafford ever carried a team to tremendous success? No postseason wins. This is a risky gamble. This is a pressure cooker for Sean McVay. He knows it. He's just glad that everyone else doesn't know it until after my take.
I like that take. And in all honesty, this one can go either way. But I'm about to say something or ask you something that will make you think, might give you a headache, might blow your mind, who knows? I spent like 20 minutes this morning trying to answer this question. Name a quarterback that is perceived to be as great as Matthew Stafford, but has accomplished as little collectively. I don't think there is one. In the history of the NFL, Matthew Stafford has the most perceived greatness with the smallest amount of collective accomplishments. Why do I say that? Matthew Stafford's team record is 74, 90, and 1. Of quarterbacks with at least 150 starts, that is the worst winning percentage since 2000. Now, the names that might come to your mind, Sel, Jay Cutler, right? Jay Cutler had perceived good, but he wasn't that great in people's minds. But even Jay Cutler had a higher winning percentage, 74 and 79. Then you have Eli Manning. People on the fence. He wasn't that great. But remember, Eli has 2 Super Bowls. He has a Super Bowl MVPs. And he was 500 as a quarterback. Carson Palmer.
There you go.
He was perceived great. Not as great in my mind, even as Stafford has been perceived great. But even Carson Palmer has a winning record. Matthew Stafford, in the history of the NFL, has the most perceived greatness with the least collective success. People will say, well, Acho, Stafford went to a team that was 0-16. Cut him some slack. Quarterback doesn't do everything. Baker Mayfield went to a team that was 1-31. And even Baker currently has a winning record with a franchise that was in just as much historical turmoil as Matthew Stafford. Andy Dalton. Even Andy Dalton has a significantly higher winning percentage than Matthew Stafford, and he went to a franchise that was in just as much collective turmoil. So, Sel,
I'm listening.
Matthew Stafford, I'm not going to call him overhyped, overrated, over anything. I think he has one of the best arms in the NFL, and I also think that it is a team game. But great quarterbacks, even in the midst of murk and dirt, they find ways to make their teams ascend. Matthew Stafford's not the only quarterback to have ever gone to a bad situation. Deshaun Watson went to a team coached by Bill O'Brien. If you didn't realize Bill O'Brien couldn't coach, you've now realized it. And Deshaun Watson has gone to the playoffs and has made some noise there as well. So all that, I surmise all that to say, Stafford's under more pressure. Because eventually, if not now, soon, people will say, Stafford's incredibly talented, but maybe he just doesn't have it. Like, he's incredibly talented, but maybe whatever it is that Russell Wilson has that can help him lead his teams even when his defenses are atrocious, whatever it is that Aaron Rodgers has that kept the Packers 4-0 when his defense was historically bad, whatever it is that Joe Flacco had in the playoffs to go on a run, whatever it is that even Nick Foles had at times throughout the course of his career, Matthew Stafford, he got all the tangibles. But eventually, if he doesn't have success this year with the coach that's been to the Super Bowl within the last 4 years, people will say he got all the tangibles, but he just doesn't have it. And I think it's time for him to prove he has it.
You just did something amazing there, because you just showed me that the perception of something could be so great, but still not exactly get the results of that greatness. That was your take. And you just did that with your take. Your take was amazing, but it was wrongly placed.
Talk to me.
Because everything you said is correct, but it makes my point. Is it worse to have it, to had it, to lose it, than to never had it at all? Most people say it's worse to had it and then lose it, right? Sean McVay had it. He was labeled a genius. Sean McVay had it. He had his team in the Super Bowl, going against Belichick, the old versus the new guard. You know, Sean McVay has been this close to winning it all. Matthew Stafford couldn't see it with binoculars and a telescope attached to it, right? So someone had it, and then if you really dive into these numbers, has lost it. Versus someone never had it at all. That, to me, says there's more pressure on the one to get it back versus the one to find it in the first place. Here's another thing. The defense saves this team now. Like, people, Sean McVay has a team right now that you literally would say, based on last year, oh, the defense bails them out. Why? Because the defense was ranked first while the offense was ranked 22nd. So it's weird. Your take was amazing. Kind of like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is amazing at quarterback.
Yes, sir.
It ain't just perception. It's reality. I don't know. This is kind of to our Russell Westbrook conversation of why I don't always put team success on an individual player. Because Matthew Stafford is insanely good at quarterback, but it doesn't add up. And that's a different calculation. But my point is this. There's more pressure on a genius offensive coordinator / head coach, Sean McVay, that is now being saved by a defense than a Matthew Stafford, then we don't know why it doesn't work in Detroit. But we never seen it work for Matthew Stafford. So why is there more pressure on him?
Let me tell you, I'm not against you.
Yeah.
I think that
you with me now.
The reason there's more pressure on Stafford, and I'm focusing on the Stafford aspect of this, is because I think Stafford is that great. I want to believe Stafford is that great. Stafford grew up 12 minutes from me. He went to Highland Park High School in Texas. I've known of Stafford since I was 11 years old, when I first went to my little private school adjacent to where he grew up. I want to believe Stafford is that great, and I should. But still, then is Stafford the only quarterback in the history of the NFL that's gone to a bad situation?
No, not at all.
If Stafford was that great, why is his record that bad? Well, the Lions are terrible, Acho. So are the Browns. Well, the Lions are terrible, Acho. So are the Bengals. So if Stafford was actually that great, why is his record so bad? Because the Texans were terrible too.
Yeah.
Deshaun's record ain't that bad. Baker's record ain't that bad. Dalton's record ain't that bad. So the question then becomes, is Stafford that great? My dog's from Darren Orlovsky, who played with Stafford for years. My dog, Quandre Diggs, now safety for the Seahawks, who played with Stafford for years. My dog, Darius Slay, who played against Stafford, obviously with the Lions against him because he played cornerback for years. They would all attest to his greatness.
Facts.
And I want to co-sign all of them. But why you so sorry as a record then, collectively? Cutler wasn't that sorry.
Man, we should have did this block before the Russell Westbrook, because I think it started to get clear for you.
Hell, that's how the game goes. It's not how the game goes.
I've seen Bruce Smith, like, it's hard to
Different
do.
position.
I see everything is always different, but that's the beauty of it. That's why it's so difficult to explain. It's always different. Look, let me give you this. All good players aren't created equal. You know that.
Yes,
like,
sir.
You say Russell Westbrook's good, right? But then you like, there's a different level, right?
Sir.
Okay, guess what? All bad players ain't created equal as well. All bad situations aren't created equal. You keep trying to think Cleveland's bad, so it's going to be as bad or worse than Detroit.
It was.
No,
statistically.
they drafted wrong at the position you needed to draft well at the most. Cleveland couldn't get the quarterback right. Detroit got the quarterback right and couldn't get a lot of other things right.
You're right.
So guess what? It adds up to being the same or worse, even though you went about it differently.
But here's where I disagree. I think a quarterback can atone for a multitude of errors. A multitude. We know, though.
We got to recalculate that.
We know with Russell Wilson. You know the Seahawks defense for the first 6 weeks of the season was worst or bottom two in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, the Packers defense statistically, it's not my opinion, throughout the first 4 weeks of the season was worse in the NFL, but they were 4-0. A great quarterback can atone for a multitude of errors. Matthew Stafford is not the only quarterback that went to a bad situation.
No,
there are levels of bad. You're right.
Where's the running game healthy? Where's the line?
Why is Matthew Stafford? So Matthew Stafford's the only quarterback that had a running game?
No, see, this. Now we're getting deep. Now we're doing our show where all of a sudden you realize, why is he in L.A. in the first place? He's not in L.A. because he was on a bad team in a bad situation, or obviously because he wasn't a bad quarterback. He's in L.A. because they said, damn, that is an A+ student at the worst school ever. And they looked at it, and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay discussed this, how there was really some fighting going on in terms of we got to get Matthew Stafford and save him from that situation. So the gamble, the risk, the pressure is on Sean McVay because, one, he won that competition to get his rights, but two, to make sure that that bet is real, that Matthew Stafford was suffering because of conditions, because of circumstances. That's what everyone, that's the pressure.
No.
That's the bet.
No. I won't let you do this.
You made my point. You made the point.
You tell me you have to be greater than your greatest excuse.
You do, but not in the team aspect.
You have to. 2017.
Let's go.
Russell Wilson was the Seahawks leading rusher. 2017. Russell Wilson was the Seahawks leading passer. 2017, the Seahawks still finished second in a division that has been historically better in the last decade than the division in which Matthew Stafford has been in. Be greater than your greatest excuse. Yes. Russell Wilson was the team's leading rusher. Yes. Now, Matthew Stafford, I'm not asking you to go be the leading rusher. And if y'all don't know, I will tell you, in 64 career starts for Matthew Stafford, 65, he's only had a running back rush for 100 yards 11 times. So, he has had no help in the running game. I am acknowledging that. But I'm also saying, if Stafford is that good, then he shouldn't be collectively this bad. You ain't got to win a Super Bowl. Phillip Rivers ain't. You ain't got to win a Super Bowl. Deshaun hasn't yet. Jim Kelly didn't, et cetera, et cetera. But if you that good, all the other players at your position that are that good haven't been this bad. So I think the pressure is on him to prove that he has it.
Yeah, well, a statistician, someone who will go into the deep analysis would just simply say the reason why you can't make that statement, if everybody's as bad as you, why aren't their record as bad as yours, is because they didn't have to play in that exact situation.
Great.
Right? Being real.
Yes, sir.
So this is why I hated group projects. This is why growing up, this is why I never had a roommate after freshman year. This is why I hated group projects. Think about it. There's a group project. There's 4 of us. And all 4 of us, we're going to trust each other, right? And Acho, me, you, Skip, and Shannon. We're going to do this project together. All right, let's go. 25% all of us doing our project, right? I show up, you show up, Skip show up, Shannon show up, and one of us don't have our part. Immediately, we walk into the classroom setting. Guess what our grade is at max? 75%. That's a C. The ceiling has dropped from an A to a C just because somebody didn't do their job. In Detroit, a lot of people weren't doing their job. So therefore, the ceiling was so low for the opportunity for them to do what they could do. Matthew Stafford suffered through that, big dog. I don't understand why you don't see this in team sports.
It's 2 things.
You ain't never had a balling season and y'all sorry?
First and foremost, I want Jenny on the group project. That's
okay,
where
that's
you went
fine.
wrong
That's
first.
fine.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Now, the second
20%.
The second thing is this. A rising tide floats all boats.
Yeah.
So if there is a group project, be better. Be better. If you're a C, then be an A+. Then the other person needs to be an A++.
Acho, they're all percentages. It all adds up. You just took 20% away.
But you know that's not how it works, though, Sal.
Yes, it is.
Let's go a pizza box. You know there is only so much pizza in the box. You can cut a bigger slice. That's what I'm saying. It's like, be a bigger slice.
You can't.
Be a bigger slice, please.
All pros, Pro Bowlers, on 4 and 12 teams. Like Deshaun Watson set NFL records. What was his record? 4 wins. He's making my point on the microcosm on a greater scale. It can happen repeatedly. You can kill it, and it don't add up, and it's not on you. That's what I was saying about Westbrook, and that's what I'm saying about this.
I agree in a small sample size. In 3 4 years, I don't think for 11 consecutive years or 10 consecutive. No, Stafford's been only got to be 12 or 13 because my brother would have been on 10.
I'm with you.
I don't think for 12 or 13 consecutive years, you can be that good and still be 74, 90, and 1. Caldwell's a good coach because everybody has said that played for Detroit under Caldwell that Caldwell was a good coach. Caldwell was there for 3 years. They had winning records.
All good ain't created equal, coach.
That is true, but I don't think you can be that good and still not have anything collectively to show for it.
Golly, man, I'm glad I didn't play with you because we would have philosophical conversations and then go out there and play and still come back and have philosophical conversations. Hey, it always doesn't add up, but good luck to you. You're in L.A. Let's go see it. Coming up, the 49ers drafted Jimmy G's eventual replacement, and head coach Kyle Shanahan is talking about playing Trey Lance this season. Should Garoppolo want out of the Bay? We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself.
Jenny, you're on our group project.
Yes, you are. 20%. Tomorrow, the Yankees and White Sox travel to Iowa in the site of the most beloved baseball movie of all time to play an historic regular season matchup on the real Field of Dreams. You won't want to miss it. The MLB Field of Dreams game presented by Geico. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Prior to the Field of Dreams game, Fox Sports will air exclusive coverage of A Dream Fulfilled, a special exhibition game featuring 2 youth baseball teams representing New York and Chicago. Programs are set to compete on the iconic Cornstalk Field later today, 6 Eastern on FS1.
Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, and Frank Thomas enter new roles for the matchup in what is sure to be an unforgettable moment, serving as roving reporters throughout the broadcast.
And speaking of David Ortiz, Big Papi, he's putting his money on the line on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. Scan the QR code below, download the app, and enter the Field of Dreams contest for a chance to win $10,000 of Big Papi's money. Now let's head to the NFL. Jimmy G Q led the 49ers to a Super Bowl appearance just 556 days ago. That didn't stop San Francisco from trading up to draft Trey Lance, number 3 overall, putting Jimmy G's future with the team in question. At best, to his credit, Garoppolo has been a pro about it and had this to say about possibly leaving the 49ers in the near future. Take a listen. It crossed my mind at one point, but I didn't want to do that. I like it here. I like the people. I like the teammates that I'm around. It's kind of where I don't want to say it's where my career started. But as a starter, this is where it was. These players, these teammates, I wouldn't trade them for the world. I love these guys. Yeah, all right, Jimmy. So, Acho, should Jimmy G want out of San Francisco?
Yes, sir. Jimmy G should want out primarily because they're using him. And in the NFL, you always get used, but try to use them while they use you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
We always getting used, though.
Everybody getting used.
Yeah,
Personalizing the story. Yeah. I was just a little practice squad player, so they could only use me so much. Or I was like 50 person on the roster. And people don't realize the NFL pays for your graduate school programming. So I was like, oh, while y'all using me, I'm going to use y'all because y'all will pay for me to go get my master's degree. They going to use you. Use them. Jimmy G, they're using you. Because on April 26th, your head coach, he didn't even guarantee that they were going to draft a quarterback. We figured they would, but remember, he said, I can't guarantee anybody in the world will be alive on draft day. That would have been that Sunday. Then after the draft, May 3rd, he said, your head coach, Jimmy's definitely our starter right now. Then, just a couple days ago, August 9th, I think they'll trust us to make the decision whether it's permanent for one game, a series, or just a situation in regards to using the two quarterbacks. So, Jimmy, it started with they might not draft somebody at your position. Then a week later, you're our starter right now. Then 2 months later, we might rotate. Bruh, in a couple days, weeks, or months, you're going to be on the bench. Just look at the trajectory of you playing. And so, Jimmy G, get out of San Fran while you still can on your own terms. I think he should get out of there because they're using him and it's blatantly obvious.
Oh, I disagree with that take. Just because I think Jimmy G is playing it the right way. We even said it in the setup. He's being a pro about it. Think about when you take the lumps in any situation of adversity and you withstand all the criticism so you don't cave to it, you don't lower your standards, you don't all of a sudden start punching down, you just hold your ground. You just stand strong. And that's what Jimmy G is doing because there's only two things Jimmy G cares about: playing football and getting what comes from playing football. So right now, they're still giving him that same opportunity, even though he knows the writing's on the wall. Kudos to Jimmy G for not reading the writing on the wall. And I'm noticing that a lot in this world today. This self-implosion. People like to use their power by saying a situation's looking bad, it's looking grim, it's looking ugly. You know what I'm going to do? Blow it up because I want to act like I ain't care in the first place. Or I want to act like I'm dictating terms. I'm going out on my terms. Yeah, right. Jimmy G is a G for doing it this way. They may want you gone, Acho, from any situation. This show, or any party, anywhere you go, somebody may be thinking, I want him out of here. But that doesn't mean you got to go. That doesn't mean you should want to go. If you want to be there, why not be there? There's going to be rewards at the end of this journey for Jimmy G. He just has to stay strong through this adversity that's coming his way right now. Who hasn't been in a situation where either you've been the backup about to go and take that starter's position, or been a starter, and all of a sudden they tap you on the shoulder, yeah, we doing some rotation. But you can't spaz. You can't all of a sudden blow up the spot because you upset that somebody's going to come take your job, whether they deserve it or not. So salute to Jimmy G. Get your money, get your opportunity. It will flame out. But then when you land at the next place, I can see it now in the reception of Jimmy G. Man, that's a pro's pro. That's a leader because he ain't go over there and blow up the spot.
So I was wrestling and debating with something today, this morning before the show, because there's a lot of different Twitter beefs and Twitter feuds that go on in the world, a lot of different Twitter arguments.
Twitter streets.
And I was like, you can win a Twitter fight and have a ton of Twitter support and still not get paid. Right? Like, don't be deceived that having Twitter support don't necessarily translate or correlate into real life support or a real life paycheck. In the same breath, I've realized in the league, being a pro's pro don't get you paid. And you ain't got to look far to realize that. Jalen Ramsey wasn't a pro's pro.
Yeah.
Signed the biggest contract of a cornerback.
Oh, yeah.
Earl Thomas wasn't a pro's pro.
Yeah.
At the time, signed the biggest contract of a quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott, we know for certain he was not a pro's pro. At the time, signed the biggest contract of a running back. I would actually push back on you and say, you get more of what you want by not being a pro's pro.
Let's do
Look
this.
at James Harden. He sure as heck was not a pros pro.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant in OKC wasn't a pros pro. Got up out of there and got what he wanted. Far too often we see pros silently suffering. Xavier Howard, cornerback for the Miami Dolphins. He wasn't a pros pro. He took to Twitter to vent and air out his grievances with the Dolphins. He got what he wanted. In all honesty, the days of being a pros pro and a company man and a policy man and eventually it all work out, big dog, I actually, unfortunately, because I'd prefer to just be a pros pro, I don't think that works no more. I think you gotta shake the room. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what you're saying.
You
no, let me tell you.
You know what I'm saying? You don't agree with what I'm saying.
No, I don't agree because, you're right. Here's the problem. When are you looking? Your thing is you're looking at that same player in his prime. He could do no wrong. Dog, I used to go out, DJ, party, get sacks. No one said a thing to me. Them sacks started to decrease. They started to say more to me. Here's the problem. You're looking at them in their prime. Yeah, Jalen Ramsey going to get paid. All these dudes going to get paid. But when it's not the prime, it's the end of time, that's when you start to lose the opportunities you could have had. I give you an example. Ain't no damn way in the world AB should have been in the situation AB put himself in. But you know what happens? You start using up those 9 lives in your prime. So when it's closer to the end of time, all of a sudden you're in a position where you're looking for work. I give you another one close to my heart. T.O. Ain't no way T.O. should have not had another opportunity. But by perception, people looked at T.O. as like, you used up your 9 lives. Jalen Ramsey ain't going to deal with this right now.
But has Jimmy used up any of his lives?
No, and that's the beauty.
But he got some. Think about this.
Hold on. That's the beauty. If you don't use up any of them and you still in your prime, boy, you can play. You're going to be one of them clipboard dudes making $20 million and you ain't even knowing he in the league.
But here is the problem, and it's the same problem that bad head coaches like Mike McCarthy make during the course of the season. You go home with a timeout. Go back home with a timeout.
How?
Don't retire having not used up a bullet. Jimmy G,
what
big dog.
bullet does he need to use up?
He is yet to cause a ruckus anyway.
Yeah, but what?
Patriots trade him. Oh, you gonna be the starter over Tom Brady? Psych, you not. Go to San Fran.
Yeah.
Now you in San Fran. Now they do all that. You haven't done anything
Hold on,
wrong.
and he became the highest paid player in NFL history after 7 games. You want to use a bullet to do what? Nobody has done what Jimmy G has done. He had the worst resume with the most returns ever.
We got to stop talking.
On, bro.
We have to stop talking about Jimmy G as the highest paid. He was making $25 million a year.
28.
The highest, 28. Highest paid now is making 40.
Yeah, but
so
they're
at
making
the time 30% more money than you, Jimmy G. Like, that was cute. You were the highest paid.
Wait a minute.
But, like, you ain't no more, big dog.
Hold on. We can't keep moving the goalposts and timeline. Jimmy G he did this much. He was a backup. He played 2 games. They said you got to play 4. He got hurt in 2 of them. Listen to this. This is the best thing ever. He's supposed to play 4 games, only played 2. Gets traded to another team. They can't win games. He goes in there and wins the last 5. They make it more than any NFL player has ever gotten paid to that moment. You gonna use a bullet to do what? Now he's in a position where the writing's on the wall. You can't fight this organization. They gonna do what they want to do. They're in lock and step, GM and head coach. Who are you gonna shoot at? The best thing to do is pack your bags, grab your life raft, go out there. You're gonna land somewhere else. And when you land there, you'll get an opportunity. I always tell you, I got a paid vacation for my last 2 years in Jacksonville because I was a pros pro. I didn't use up my bullets. Now, people don't look at that as a benefit, but I look at guys who are way better than me at the end of their careers, looking for jobs, looking for opportunities, and no one wants to be around them because they used up all those bullets.
I think you should have just worked with me 2 years sooner. It's your fault.
You ain't never lied. Coming up, Josh Allen got his extension done with the Bills without using up any bullets. But Lamar Jackson is still waiting on his from the Ravens. We'll tell you if Lamar should be leery of playing this season without a long-term deal. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield are the cream of the 2018 draft crop at the quarterback position. All 3 were first-round picks, but it was Josh Allen who was first to sign an extension. Now, Baker and Lamar both look likely to enter this season without long-term deals, but the Ravens quarterback is the only one of the 3 with a unanimous league MVP. So, Acho, should Lamar be leery of playing this season without a new deal?
Absolutely. So here's a problem I've made in life, and I hope that other people don't make it. We try to just look at life optimistically. Don't look at life pessimistically. Don't necessarily look at life optimistically. Look at life realistically. We know the phrase, my strikeout, it brings me closer to my next home run. That is absolutely true.
Okay.
But for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So what else is true? Your home run is bringing you closer to your next strikeout. Lamar Jackson, thus far in his career, has only hit home runs. Unanimous MVP. Highest winning percentage through the first 38 or so games of any quarterback's career. Yeah. He's made it to the playoffs his 2 years, every year that he's taken over as a starter and been the starter. Yeah. So every time he stepped up to the plate, he's hit homers. He's hit triples. At a minimum, he's hit doubles. Well, what's that mean? It means he's closer to his next strikeout, unfortunately. Dak Prescott, he had not been injured the first 4 years of his career. Hadn't been injured, starts off 13-3, 9-7, 10-6, 8-8. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Well, Dak hasn't been injured. That's great. Only problem, there's a 100% injury ratio in the NFL. Thus, Dak Prescott had been hitting homers, but was closer to his next strikeout. Lamar Jackson should absolutely be weary and be mindful of playing the season without a new deal, because thus far, he's only hit homers. Now, when you consistently hit homers, that means you're on track to being a Hall of Famer, which I think Lamar Jackson is on track to do. But that also means, just by nature of the sport in which you play, the last or one of the last modern gladiator sports, you're closer to your next strikeout, a strikeout being an injury, a strikeout being a bad season, a strikeout being your star receiver or star receivers or tight ends go down. And you do not want to try to re-up after a strikeout, re-up and sign a new deal after a home.
Similar take from me. I love their take. It helped me clarify my take, which is I don't think he should be leery now. Think about it. In an optimistic mindset, as you said, you're thinking of Josh Allen, right? You're thinking, like, this dude got it, and I'm as good, if not better. Actually, I am better. Got a unanimous MVP than Josh Allen. Why am I better? Because maybe not peak for peak, even though the year that you're going to use as peak for peak, 2019, here's a problem with it. Lamar Jackson didn't even finish those games. Like, when he won the MVP, it was high school MVP, where in the fourth quarter, you're talking to the cheerleaders, chilling, pads off. So it's not fair to go his career year versus Josh Allen's career year. That said, in an optimistic mindset, Josh Allen. In a pessimistic mindset, like the worst thing that could happen, it's Dak Prescott. And being pessimistic ain't all that bad, because Dak Prescott's sitting there coined up. So if you're Lamar Jackson, what you got to be scared of? If I go out there and get hurt, they're going to treat me like Dak. How they treat Dak? Oh, that was amazing. Oh, if I don't go get hurt and I keep being Lamar Jackson, what am I going to do? Get more than Josh Allen. Why be leery? Realistically, you're going to get paid regardless. Got to bring in Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. So, Bucky, should Lamar be leery of playing this season without a new deal?
Absolutely. And I think if Lamar Jackson had an agent, his agent would certainly advise him to be very, very leery about showing up at camp without a new deal. Because it's really important to understand everything about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been phenomenal as a player in the National Football League. MVP. He's been to the playoffs 3 times. He has 2 1,000-yard seasons. But with that comes a little risk to the style that he plays. Let's be honest. Lamar Jackson has 2 1,000-yard seasons, but he also has 480 rushing attempts. We know how this game goes when it comes to quarterbacks that leave the pocket. It only takes one big hit. You alluded to Dak Prescott and how Dak Prescott got his point. But I still have the image of Dak Prescott laying on the turf with his ankle and his foot pointed one way and the rest of his leg pointed another way. I believe that it's imperative for Lamar Jackson to get this deal done. And for the Ravens to want to get this deal done, meaning Lamar Jackson has to put pressure on the Ravens to make him do it, because what the Ravens may be doing is kind of sitting back and rethinking their situation. Because remember, Lamar Jackson has had COVID 2 times. So that might speak to maybe his decision-making. Then, when we think about Lamar Jackson running around on the asphalt with the kids, this is a contract situation where you don't want to put yourself at risk. You're beginning to wonder a little bit about the judgment and the thing that we can talk about. Are they really all the way in on Lamar Jackson, or do they want to slow play this out? Because remember, at their disposal, 5th-year option, a couple of franchise tags. If they have any hesitation about whether Lamar Jackson can play at a high level going forward, they can slow play this and put him on that year-to-year plan that we saw the Dallas Cowboys put Dak Prescott on. Just got to be leery. He doesn't want to go that route.
Yeah, look, Leary is just a little slanted to the negative too much for me. Cautious, wary due to realistic suspicion. Like, what the hell? I've been playing football my whole life. I am not injury prone, and if I get injured, you just showed me a case study where someone gets injured and still gets paid. So what am I leery over? Here's the thing, though. I can't be anxious. I could be nervous, something that I expect, but there's some cause for concern because this is football. I respect that. But I'm going to equate it to like how it was growing up. Y'all remember December 24th? In my household growing up, that was the worst day of the year because it's the day before Christmas. And I'm sitting there like, I can see that my mama wrapped that bike I wanted. That Huffy is wrapped up, but I can't get to it right now. So whatever that feeling is of uneasiness right there, that anxiety, that anxiousness, yeah, because I want to just go outside and play with it, but I got to wait for it. So right now, Lamar Jackson, he's just sitting there on Santa's lap, telling him what he wants, telling him what he's wishing for. And yeah, you want to get off his lap and just get to getting. But the point is, you're going to get it. Like I knew on the 24th. The 25th, I got that bike. Ain't nothing else wrapped like that. Like, my mama can't wrap nothing else that big in that crazy shape. So the point is, just wait for it. It's coming to you. Now, if there were no Dak Prescott case study, if we didn't have that as a precedent and a recent precedent, if we had saw Dak Prescott go out there and all of a sudden he getting crumbs on the table, then I'm with y'all. Be leery. But Lamar Jackson, no matter what he does, it seems like he's going to be Gucci.
Okay, I understand that, Marcellus. And look, I like to go to Vegas. I like to gamble a little bit. But guess what? Sometimes you can get on a slot machine and it comes up with 3 Dennis Schröder. And you go from $80 million on a 4-year deal to 1 year and 5.9. So I'm saying it looks nice to say, hey, man, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get money. It's more out there. But sometimes, hey, you got to take a bird in the hand. And so if I'm Lamar Jackson, I am on the Baltimore Ravens to make sure that we get this deal done. Because the one thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to go on the field and have anything held against me based on what I do this year, injury or performance. Because remember, like Dennis Schröder, it was all good until he played in the playoffs. And then as he played in the playoffs, the money started going down, down, down. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I wanted to get my money while they still value me at the height, which is right at that level. I don't want to give them any reason to take away my money. And that's regardless of the level of confidence that I have in myself. That's business, not personal.
Damn. And neither one of them got vaccinated. It seemed like, oh, that's a problem right there. Here's the thing. If you Lamar Jackson, look, I get it. I am with y'all in terms of giving me my money. It's time to know my routing number, right? Wire that dough. At the same time, if he were to get injured, he's getting Dak money minimum. If he were to play bad, he's getting Dak money minimum. This is not a Dennis Schröder situation. Dennis Schröder got caught up in the vacuum, brother. If you look at Lamar Jackson and the way he's playing, even if injured, even if he doesn't play up to the unanimous MVP level, it still seems like chips all in for the Ravens. Coming up, LeBron and the Lakers turned last year's Toon Squad into a super team. Add former MVP Russell Westbrook, and we'll tell you if LeBron and Russ are going to work in L.A. That's next on Sir.
The Lakers have been busy. Boy, they've been busy this offseason. After LeBron's first ever first-round exit in the playoffs, LA brought former MVP Russell Westbrook home and finally united LeBron with his 03 draft classmate Carmelo Anthony. Now, Westbrook was introduced to the Lakers as a Laker yesterday and described how plans to coexist with King James will be. Take a listen.
LeBron is one of the best players to play this game, and his ability to be able to kind of do everything on the floor allows me to be able to just figure it out. And my job is to make sure that I'm able to make his game easy for him as it pertains to ball handling and all that. It really doesn't matter. There's many different ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hands.
Great. Gotta bring in one of the best to do it on television. Slick Rick. You Grammy analyst, Slick Rick. But Sel, you up first.
No, I'm not.
Okay, you're not up first.
Ooh.
Slick Rick, you up first.
Yeah.
Will Russell Westbrook be a good fit with LeBron?
Yes, in the regular season. No. not in the playoffs.
Okay, go there.
Actually, this combination of LeBron and Russ is one of the elements that I'm least worried about. But let's start there because that's the question. Russ's superpower is what? That he plays hard and fast every single night, no matter what. Well, the problem is, while that gives you an edge in the regular season, and it's exactly what LeBron needs next to him at this point in his career, in the playoffs, everybody plays hard. Everybody goes at it with full gusto in the postseason. What you have to rely on is being able to play a little slower and methodically and relying on precision and execution and efficiency. And that's where Russ Westbrook falters, particularly now at this point in his career. If you look at what he's done during the regular season, the marks are still rather impressive. But every time we get to the postseason, it takes a header because the game changes. And the way Westbrook plays, once everybody's geared up to meet his energy and intensity, well, now it's a matter of let's figure out how we can make the game difficult on Russ. And it's not that hard to do. And so when it comes to the combination, look, they'll figure it out. He's played with any number of superstars over the years. Bradley Beal, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant. Like, partnering with another superstar is not the issue. It's a matter of how can I be efficient in the postseason within his own game? And that's where I see this faltering.
Cosign, cosign, cosign. Sel always tells me, and I listen to my dog, even though I try to act like I don't so he doesn't get too prideful. He always tells me styles make fights. Well, styles also make teams. And the style that Russell Westbrook and LeBron James both currently play with, I don't know that it makes for the greatest team. I need to make sure I see Slick Rick during the course of this conversation so he can correct me where I'm wrong or cosign as need be. I think about this, Slick. The Wizards, Russell Westbrook squad last year, they played with the #1 pace, fastest pace. Boom, just up and down the court, up and down the court. But the Lakers were 16th out of 30 as it pertains to pace. Look at the Rockets the year before where Russell Westbrook was a part of. They were 3rd in pace. I think about it like this, Slick. In previous relationships, I was the person who always liked to work out. Why? Because I'm a former pro athlete. Of course, I should work out more than my partner at the time. But the problem is, Slick Rick, I'm like, okay, we got to finish this lap in 40 seconds, but we're a team. We got to do it together. Next thing you know, I end up dragging the person I'm dating around the track, trying to make sure we finish this time, and their legs are just barely hitting the ground as I'm sitting there in a full sprint. I feel like that's what we might see with the Lakers at times. Because we know how Russell Westbrook plays the game. It's a full sprint, full tilt. But LeBron James is a little more methodical at this age in his career. He's trying to go down in a calculated motion. So I don't think it's a good fit, not because they don't want it to be mentally, but the styles of play, the styles that make the fights or the styles that make the team, they just clash.
Oh, man, I have to disagree with you guys. I see this being amazing all the way through. Slick went there with me, at least in the regular season, so I don't have to push back too hard. It's pretty obvious that Russell Westbrook will do it all and will do the dirty work, which is going to help an older team, especially a LeBron-led team, where LeBron in the regular season is just an ultimate game manager. He'll do anything you need him to do. He'll make those splash plays. He'll go out there and be fast in transition, etc. But it's only out of necessity to keep the things going, to spread the energy around, etc. LeBron's trying to get to the postseason, and then he's going to strike. We all see that, right? So let's talk about what LeBron and Russ do well and will do well together. Now you have two of the league's best scorers in the open court, and LeBron and Westbrook. Remind you guys, last year in points per game in transition, Russell Westbrook and LeBron tied for 3rd, only behind Giannis and Jaylen Brown. Okay, so that means we're going to have 2 guys that can do it in the open court. Now, how is that going to help the Lakers? I'll tell you in 2 ways. One, if you look at the Lakers last year, they had a problem with guys penetrating through the paint. Some are saying that LeBron doesn't turn the corner the same. I think he does in the playoffs when he's healthy, but at the same time, in the regular season, he ain't trying to exert all that effort. Why do I know that? Because if you look at it last year, Dennis Schröder led the Lakers with 13 drives per game. Russell Westbrook would have led the Lakers if he were on this team with 18. Styles make fights. Acho says styles make teams. His style helps this team. More so, it helps this team when LeBron James has to sit down. And LeBron James is going to be 37 years old. Will have to sit down. Let's talk about last year when LeBron James sat down. Lakers went from 14th to 28th in offensive efficiency when he sat down. 112 points to 105 points. Russell Westbrook brings in his 22 points per game scoring average, and because of his energy level, you can now start to bring these guys in Tetris. You can play together, start together, but then he can sit there and lag while LeBron gets his rest, and then LeBron comes back in, etc. You can stagger them. Russell Westbrook almost averaged 12 assists also last year. This is a Lakers team that was 8th in the West. 8th in the West in assists per game. So everywhere I see an issue with the Lakers, I see a strength with Russell Westbrook. But the most important one of all is the fact that Russell Westbrook was the most efficient he's ever been in his entire career when he was off ball in Houston. That's why Russell Westbrook led his press conference saying, it doesn't matter if I'm on the ball. I can still have impact. The most efficient we've ever seen him is when he was with Harden. Now you're going to see it with LeBron James.
Real quick, though, Slick, before we get to you, Sel, I have to counter that lie. And it's only a lie because you were told it as the truth, but statistically it is incorrect. So it's not your fault.
What?
Russell Westbrook is second in the NBA in points scored and assisted on. He's second. So how dare Russell Westbrook say that he can contribute off ball because he's never had to. What? Last year in the league, he either has the ball and is scoring or he has the ball and he's passing. So maybe Westbrook can be great off ball.
Houston.
But I'm looking at it. I mean, literally, he just ain't been great off ball because he's been so great with the ball in his hand. Third last year in teams' percentage of points scored or assisted on. And so I'm not blaming you for the lie. I just don't know that Russell Westbrook's not fully accurate.
Hold on. He shot 47%, a little over it, in Houston. Russell Westbrook ain't never shot over 45% in his career. Okay. And he averaged 27 points a game in Houston. You trying to tell me that's a lie?
No,
the dude was off ball?
No, I'm saying the lie is Westbrook is used to being the primary handler. I know he's used to it. Jim Jackson corrected me one day when I was like, man, Westbrook is getting all these boards and getting all these assists. And it was either Slick or Jim Jackson said, hey, don't be fooled, Acho. Getting assists can also be selfish. Because it means that you're going to keep the ball in your hands trying to get to the cup, and you make sure that you're the one making the pass. So I'm like, maybe I've been deceived by some of these stats. Go ahead, Slick.
Yeah, no, assists can be deceiving. It means that you're holding the ball, and I'm either going to score or I'm handing it to the guy who's going to score. I'm never passing it along to get the hockey assist and just let the game flow. I'm trying to dominate the game in every way. But Marcellus, you said that I led you to your point. You're leading me to my next one. Because honestly, the combination of Russ and LeBron in the regular season and that change of pace that Acho referred to, that can be advantageous during the regular season. Right. But you're not going to mix and match when you get to the playoffs. Those two are going to be on the floor all the time. You're not subbing and stretching it out during the playoffs. You're going to have your best players on the floor all the time, and they're going to have to be in sync. But this is my issue. This sharing the ball thing is kind of is an outlier in terms of what their issues are going to be. The greater issues are that you have Frank Vogel now without Jason Kidd or Lionel Hollins on his staff, and he now has to deal with not just AD and LeBron, but AD and LeBron and Carmelo Anthony and Russ Westbrook. Those are a lot of high-profile personalities to deal with when you don't have the veterans that those guys respect sitting next to you on the bench. And then there's the team defense. Who's defending? I mean, we can look at LeBron and Russ sharing the ball on one end. Neither one of them is at the high point of their career when it comes to defending. Russ in particular has not been good at all, and that's where the huge drop-off is from Russ to Dennis Schröder. He was the one who was providing all that. But you took me to the thing that I really want to hit, because this is the number one element on why I don't believe that this combination is going to get the Lakers to where they want to go. And it is LeBron James, and it's LeBron James in the postseason. And you just casually, Marcellus, just casually said, he will turn it up when it... Thank you. Thank you for letting me see my guy. He'll just turn it up when he needs to turn it up. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened against the Phoenix Suns when Anthony Davis went down? Did LeBron James turn it up at any point in that series? He had one game where he had double-digit assists. He never scored over 30 points. He had damn near as many turnovers as assists in several games. There was never a point. He had one game where he had double-digit rebounds, not one single triple-double. If there was ever a time for LeBron James just to turn it up in the postseason because he had to, that was the time. And we didn't see it. And I don't think it's because he didn't want to. I think it's because he couldn't.
Well, I think it's because he's a genius, and he's understood his stay in L.A., that without Anthony Davis, good luck trying. These kids today say, let's work smarter, not harder. And LeBron realized that his basketball IQ, which is going to lap most people in this world, is going to tell him, I need Anthony Davis, because that's what the results have told him. I need Anthony Davis right now. Now it's going to tell him Russell Westbrook will help us out. I love y'all, but I just don't understand. Russell Westbrook going into his 14th season, we saw his assists drop to just 7 per game in Houston, off ball. But it became the most effective, efficient Russell Westbrook ever. Not only field goal percentage, but deeper numbers. Effective field goal percentage. Highest in his career. And you tell me a guy who can drop down off ball, 4th worst in terms of assists per game in his career, and has 27 points per game, plays almost 36 minutes, and now we're looking at the guy just 2 years removed from that and not thinking he's going to be an addition, a supplement to a team like the Lakers that was 21-7 before injury, that was 2nd in the West, and that has LeBron and AD coming back healthy. Woo! I mean, Marcellus, I'm going to let you talk, Sleep, but tell me something.
It's pace. If he's playing fast, and he's playing faster than anybody else during the regular season, that's going to work.
Facts.
But he can't play fast with this Lakers team. He can't play fast with Trevor Ariza, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, not at this point in their career. That's where his efficiency is at its best. He just doesn't have a Lakers team that's going to allow him to be at his best when it comes to efficiency.
Well, you can't spell Westbrook, Acho, you ready? Without West in it. They gonna win the West because it's in his name. Westbrook, go get it. Except Clippers got him. Coming up, the Rams acquired Matthew Stafford to take them to the next level. But is Sean McVay's new look offense all hype? Oh, this is gonna be fun. We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself. WESQ. The Rams saw their first action against another team when they traveled from Irvine to Oxnard for a joint practice with the Cowboys over the weekend. While new Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford looked good, head coach Sean McVay was unhappy with the offense as a whole, saying, quote, I didn't think we did as good a job as I expect us to do. Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks is back with us, but Acho, any concerns the Rams offense is all hype?
Not at all, fellas, because hype is a matter of, can the Rams offense be prolific? I know for a fact they will be prolific. Now, I have concerns if the Rams will win a Super Bowl. I have concerns if the Rams will win a playoff game. Got those concerns. But no, their offense will live up to it. Regardless of what Matthew Stafford does in the playoffs, he's passed for 5,000 yards in a season, one of only 8 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to do so. He has 2 receivers, the only 2 receivers in the NFL combined playing on the same team, with 180-plus catches and over 2,000 yards the last 2 seasons. Ain't no way they all hype. You got one of the best arm talents at quarterback, you got one of the best tandems at receiver, and you got one of the wisest coaches offensively in the NFL. They will live up to any hype.
I mean, that's great. All those numbers and everything that you spit out about Matthew Stafford and what they have.
Here comes the butt.
But the problem is they're Super Bowl or bust.
Fair.
If they don't get to the Super Bowl and win it, it's a failure, because I watched Jared Goff get this team to the Super Bowl and they fell short and lose it to the Patriots. If Matthew Stafford doesn't take the Rams to the Super Bowl and win it, what has all this been about? And the reason why I'm concerned is I believe the most valuable offensive player is now out for the season, and that's Cam Akers. Because this team is built on the running game. What Sean McVay wants to do is what all Shanahan or disciples of the Shanahan system want to do. They want to run the stretch to one side, utilize some kind of bootleg or play action to take shots down the field. Well, now without Cam Akers, they don't have a threat in the backfield that will make defensive coordinators shudder and change their defensive game plan. So I've seen this formula before for Matthew Stafford in Detroit when he only had 11 100-yard rushers in his career. Only 6.5% of the time did he have someone that could get over 100 yards. And you would spit out his record, 74, 90, and 1. And so I don't know if Matthew Stafford can get the Rams to the Super Bowl on the strength of his right arm without a balanced running game to help him. And so I am very concerned about the Rams and what the Rams will accomplish this year.
I'm with you too, Bucky. As much as I love the Rams, I love the personnel, I love the names, I love the personalities. I love Sean McVay. Oh, man, I can't let that likability get in the way of me doing my job. I think there may be some defensive coordinators out there saying, hey, we done figure McVay out, big dog, because he started off first in the league, then second in the league, then 11th in the league, and then last year 22nd in the league in terms of offense. And now you just assume because of Deshaun Jackson and Matthew Stafford, who are beasts, but that's going to get them back to where they were? Oh, that's elite. I don't know how prolific that can be. You got to remember, they're missing Cam Akers this year. Like Cam Akers, that was the guy that they were relying on for this running game to get better. That's going to be gone. Offensive line is aging, be real, not the deepest. Ranked 22nd in the red zone in terms of touchdowns. Now, I understand you swap out Jared Goff, you say all things have been fixed. Be careful, because you swapped out your quarterback, but them defenses also are going to be good and mighty that you're facing. 10 of their 18 games this season are against defenses that finished in the top half of the league in total defense last season. 15 for better. They're going to get some dogs this year, and they're going to start off fast against 4 teams in the top 13 of the NFL. We'll see. We're going to see fast, too, as well. But I don't know. Acho over here telling me that the Rams just going to go back to just 2017 and then all of a sudden be in the Super Bowl. But as Bucky said, they so damn close to the ceiling in terms of expectations. The only thing they can do to make everyone happy and appease us all is to win the Super Bowl. Coming up, Dennis Schröder's year with the Lakers began with excitement and ended with well, tell you if we feel bad for Schröder missing out on the bag with the Lakers. Come on, Schröder. Next, don't speak for yourself.
Dennis Schröder signed a 1-year, $5.9 million deal to join the Celtics yesterday. Now, normally, that'd be a huge reason to celebrate. I would be celebrating unless I, like Schröder, reportedly turned down a 4-year, roughly $80 million offer from the Lakers last season. Instead, the Lakers got Russell Westbrook, and Schröder has roughly 74 million reasons to be disappointed. So, I never count a man's pockets. You know, in the locker room, that's rule number 1. Don't count another man's money. But today, we're counting.
I was about to say, I always violated that rule. I got to know what's out there.
You feel sorry for Schröder?
I absolutely do. Yeah, for real. Like, for real, as the kids would say, because I just noticed in pro sports, there's enough to go around for everybody. I know there's a salary cap, but trust me, if you are balling, you are in the mindset that they going to take care of me. All right. So there's enough to go around for everybody, you're thinking, if you're Dennis Schröder. And when someone doesn't get theirs, you feel bad, dog, because you're just like, I'm still eating. You eating, but you're not eating like you should be eating, right? That's where my mind takes me. It affected me. If I'm Dennis Schröder, like, what? I could have had 80-20 per year, and now I'm at 5 point? Wait a minute. I could have had all that, and now I only get this. And the only solace I have is, well, if I play well, and maybe it's not a point guard free agency spending spree next year in competition, I might try to make some of this up. But that money gone, bruh. That's the problem. When you don't strike, when you don't use the hammer when you have it to hit it, you're mad at yourself forevermore, and that's the problem with this. So, yeah, I feel bad. I know it's going to be jokes, but to me, that's sad.
I feel you, big dog. I feel terrible, honestly, for Schröder because at best, he lost $16 million. At best. Even if he goes up and makes up his money next year, it's still a $16 million difference between the $20 million he could have made this year and the $6 million he's going to make this year. At worst, he lost $74 million. And the thing about that NBA money, it's guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
If this was an NFL contract, I'd be like, bro, you probably weren't going to see half of that 80 anyway. NBA, you just have to sign and you's going to see all of it. Then it's the little things. Lakers are just a better organization right now than the Celtics, especially with who they're acquiring. You got LeBron James, you got AD. They would have acquired Melo. Obviously, they probably wouldn't have acquired Westbrook. But the Lakers just going to get you closer to winning. We've all been in these situations. And unfortunately in life, Sal, all you ever hear about is the person who bets on themselves and wins.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of people that bet on themselves and lose.
Yeah.
And this is example number one of the person who bet on himself and lost. And it goes back to several conversations. I actually agree with you on this take, but we've talked before about Deshaun Watson, and you were like, man, why'd he sign that deal? That was a bad deal. I'm like, but Sal, give me the 158 or whatever Deshaun signed for now as opposed to taking the chance. I feel like, and we'll spend the last few minutes here, Schröder is my argument, Stel, for why scared money may not make money, but it'll keep you from losing money. And I know you don't like that approach because I know you're on the opposite side, but how you feel now? Because Schröder is...
First of all, I don't remember my full Deshaun, but I know he could have got paid more. Patrick Mahomes is my one. Good Lord, that deal's horrible. But I'm going to let him live. This has taken me more to this, and you hear it a lot in the stock market, but you also see it on your financial returns in terms of unrealized income and realized income. And if you ever check your net worth, and you do it all the time, like I do, you just see the jumps. And sometimes there are huge jumps, and it's because of the market. It's dictating what your net worth is. And there are times where you're like, I am up right now, but you don't take the money out because you're playing the long game. Then you check the next week, next month, it's gone. Like, it's just dropped 10%, 20%. Well, you're like, what? And that's how I feel. Because you're like, damn, I used to be richer then. Schröder will forever, this is cemented. This is not just fluctuation of a market. He's going to forever be thinking, dog, I had $80 million and I got 5 off it. 5 from 80? And like you said, because it's guaranteed. That's my problem with this one. Unrealized to realized. He could have realized $80 million, and now he's walking around with 5. In the real world, this is why I get so adamant and animated when we say Russell Westbrook has something to prove. Okay, when you're retired, all them rings and championships and Pro Bowls and all pros, they go on shelves, and people look at them. Sometimes you wear them out, and people be impressed. That don't do jack in the world. You know what does jack in the world? Jack. 80 million jacks does more than 5 million jacks. And this dude ain't gonna never see that again.
But here's the thing, Phil.
Stop,
here's the thing. Because you're not wrong at all, and I co-sign that.
Stop.
But once you've gotten to, I was sitting down with the agent for the person who created The Sopranos. I never watched The Sopranos, but The Sopranos, many would argue, one of the greatest shows on television.
Here too.
And he was telling me that that Dick Wolf, who created Law and Order SVU, was worth like $1 billion.
Yes,
like
yes.
$1 billion.
I gotta tell you my story now.
And he was also telling me that the person who created The Sopranos is worth like $100 million. So I'm sitting there with this man who has had a relationship with Dick Wolf and also has a relationship with the person who created The Sopranos. And I was like, who would you rather be? Would you rather be Dick Wolf or would you rather be the person who created Sopranos? Sopranos is one of the greatest shows of all time, but Dick Wolf got Law and Order SVU, Law and Order this, Law and Order that. And he said, I'd rather be the person that created The Sopranos, but I'm more interested in the quality of the work than the quantity. But then he said, I said, but what about the $100 million to the $1 billion? He said, there's not very much that a person with $100 million can't do, but the person with $1 billion can do. So when you're talking about this much money, yes, all the rings and stuff will go on shelves, but wealthy is wealthy. So now, what do I have in addition to my wealth, the stuff money can't buy? Go ahead, Seth.
Okay. That's true, but it ain't fully telling the whole story. Like, all right, you got a plane at $100 million, you got a plane at $1 billion. I bet you those ain't the same planes.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So it's a little different. Okay, you got a house, you got a mansion, but I hear you. We having some high society conversation right here. Let's bring it on down a notch right here. First of all, give me some invites to these high-powered ass meetings you going to. Second of all, I was with this dude, and I think his dad's is Mike West. I think that's his name. I don't know. This dude said that's his dad. I said, what's your dad? What does he do? Because I could tell he had that money and he didn't do jack. And he was like, oh, we were chopping it up. He was a cool cat. He said his dad created the soundtrack for Law & Order and all these TV shows. All right, this real story, I gotta say it fast. Basically, he said every time you hear dum dum, he said, Daddy getting a check. I said, how much? He said, I don't know, maybe 10 G's or something. I said, every time, 20 G, 30 G. They do it like 100 times an episode. So if that story is true, good Lord, we up here losing. Coming up, I feel like Dennis Schröder. Hard Knocks debuted last night, and Mike McCarthy tried to make it a, quote, mojo moment. We'll tell you if what we saw on TV made us see McCarthy any differently as a coach. Next on Speak for Yourself. The Dallas Cowboys' third run on Hard Knocks started last night. Dak Prescott revealed that he needed 2 surgeries to repair his ankle. But the antics of head coach Mike McCarthy stole the show. McCarthy used a clip from Austin Powers to create, quote, mojo moments to motivate the team, leading to this awkward exchange with Dak Prescott. Take a listen.
Damn, Dak, see what you're missing? Mojo moment, man.
I'm mojo. Trust me, nobody wants to grab their money.
Hey, I'm bust your balls, champ.
Acho, did Hard Knocks make you feel differently about Mike McCarthy?
Well, I mean, firstly, I think Mike McCarthy's in much better shape than he was last year. And I think I think he's done a really good job of just, one, taking care of his mind, taking care of his body, just trying to continue to trim up and whatnot. So
Mike and I are in different shape.
He might have you beat. More importantly, though, it made me understand this, Sal. McCarthy ain't the one for the job. Cowboys fans, I done told y'all, hopefully y'all will realize sooner than later. Why?
What?
NFL head coaches, you got to have one of 2 things. Either a brilliant mind, just a brilliant mind, or a masterful motivator. Sometimes it's both. Game of football, I would say it's about 70% intellectual capacity as a head coach provides, but then also 30% motivational. What's your pregame speech? What's your halftime speech? What's your motivation throughout the course of the week? Do you get more out of me than I typically was going to give you? Somehow, some way, can you conjure up more? Mike McCarthy, we know his brilliance compared to the rest of the league has caught up. Whatever brilliance he had around 09, 10, and 11, it's caught up. The McVays, the Shanahans, the Andy Reids are back in their bag, all them dudes. Then that clip showed me as a motivator, he ain't got it. Like Tomlin as a motivator, let's go to work. Reid as a mind, ooh, brilliance. But Mike McCarthy just showed me, okay, brilliance, I don't see it. Motivational, you're using Austin Powers clips. Read the room, big dog. Them cats ain't seen Austin Powers. I haven't seen Austin Powers.
You haven't seen Austin Powers?
No,
missing one. You missing one.
The only mojo moment I know is from Powerpuff Girls. You know, that's truly it. That's the only mojo. That's the only
and Maurice
Jones-Drew. And Maurice Jones-Drew. That's it. I don't know about nothing about Austin Powers.
Golly, you also don't know anything about head coaches in the NFL. It sounds like, boy, you better put some respect on this man's name. Why you want him to be all uptight and acting like I'm a coach all the time when I'm just one of 9 active head coaches with a Super Bowl ring? So they can be brilliant minds and masterful motivators all they want. Last time I checked, I'm looking at 23 dudes who can't even live up to what I've done. Oh, but they masterful minds and masterful motivators. Faking it. Mike McCarthy is 6th among active coaches and wins, but no respect from Acho. Man can't let his collar out. You know what I'm saying? Just let his shoulders down and watch some Austin Powers. Respect to Mike McCarthy because he ain't always got to act the role.
4, Sal.
Because he already
4
is
consecutive
that dude.
losing seasons. 4.
Coming up. Okay, Trey Lance and Justin Fields were drafted the team that already had a starter on the roster. Didn't know that. We'll tell you which one is in a better situation next. You cheat. Oh, speak for yourself. You cheat. You know why? Because he took a break. They don't count.
49ers third overall pick Trey Lance has been lighting it up at 49ers practice, but he's not the only rookie quarterback pushing to win the starting job. That is also Justin Fields, who's trying to take over from veteran Andy Dalton as well. Now, Fields has earned the respect of the Bears' top target, Allen Robinson, who said the rookie quarterback has, quote, those exciting capabilities. The sky's the limit for Justin. So, Sal, which quarterback is in a better situation right now, Justin Fields or Trey Lance?
The question really is, you want to be a 49er or a Bear? Obviously a 49er, right? Because they got a better offense, better defense, even better city. So, yeah, I'd rather be my man.
You think Chicago better than the Bay?
No, I think the Bay.
You think
the Bay? Hell
no,
yeah.
When the last time you been to Chicago?
Last time you been to the Bay? What you mean?
The Bay's expensive.
I don't care. LA expensive.
Chicago,
and the Bay is more than just one city. It's all of them. That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow.